it might be fire Neal Brown time. And not today, not tomorrow, but we're going to have this conversation about West Virginia being vastly worse than we expected. I predicted West Virginia earlier this season at 8-4. A lot of people are like, oh no, 8-4, no. I had a win against Penn State, Albany, a win at Pitt. West Virginia is better than Pittsburgh. West Virginia is better than Albany. West Virginia, I thought, could utilize the home field advantage to beat Penn State. I had West Virginia going on the road to beat Oklahoma State, beating Iowa State, beating Kansas State. If you're West Virginia, you now look at your schedule and say, uh-oh, that's not good. Kansas might be a feasible win. Those are two teams outside of the top 10 in the Big 12 power rankings this week because they're both uncharacteristically bad for what their head coaches gave you last season, or if you're in the Kansas situation, seasons prior. Here's what I don't like. I read a lot today about West Virginia, and Joshua Petrie from Hale, West Virginia, Hale WV, or Petrie, says that West Virginia should analyze whether or not to move forward with Neal Brown and should also give credit where credit's due to Eli Holstein, who's the quarterback for Pitt. And I see all these outlets. This is a very well-written article, by the way. But I see all these outlets who are saying, yeah, but the Holstein kid was good. Your team made him look good. Oh, he had a good head on his shoulders and he went and he made the plays when he had to. And yes, give him credit for being good. But guess whose defense he was facing? Yours. That's why when Oklahoma State was like, oh, Arkansas they look real improved against you, Like, is that the sample size that are you really saying right now, oh, this is a real improved Arkansas team, huh? You see, guys, look how good their offense is. Yeah, against your defense. Who does that say more about? I love this article, though, written, again, by a guy who is a passionate West Virginia fan who says he's defended this staff over and over again, and it's getting a whole lot tougher for Neal Brown to be the head coach of West Virginia. Can I tell you what I think Neal Brown is to West Virginia? He is not the West Virginia football coach. He's a guy who coached West Virginia football to 9 wins last year. Does that make sense? When I think West Virginia, I don't think, oh yeah, Neal Brown. When can I say something controversial? I mean, this was a role that it felt like Dana Holgerson, and granted, sure, he could have deserved to go or not. I don't care. That Dana Holgerson fit. You just thought, yeah, that dude just kind of feels West Virginia. Or, prior to all the scandals and prior to finding out that the dude needed some serious help, Bob Huggins was synonymous with West Virginia. They have had characters in these seats that represent the state, that represent the university. And here comes kind of dopey Neal Brown, the guy from Troy, who, sure, he's endearing, but he's not West Virginia. He's not the head coach of West Virginia. He is a coach that led them to wins last year. And had he not led them to wins, he would be fired. And if you fire him at the end of this season, I don't think that's a bad thing. You've got to have somebody at West Virginia that represents the entire state. And Neal Brown's just not really that guy. I would argue, can I say something actually controversial? But you don't care. You're West Virginia fans. Like, I would argue Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri isn't exactly Missouri. He's this kind of weird, funky, dopey guy, and he's got them in the top 10 in the country. He's a great football coach, but he doesn't scream Missouri to me. The other guy, Pink, that was Missouri. You don't need a head coach to embody you to win. Head coaches can win when they don't represent what you are. Brian Kelly at LSU, same thing. However, in a place like West Virginia, it's exponentially harder because from a resource standpoint, you've got to represent the state and have the entire state behind you because you can leave no resource off the table when you're at West Virginia. There are no in-state prospects who are going to win you a Big 12 championship or put you at the top of college football. You're going to have to represent a state on the larger scale and take that state outside of West Virginia and represent it well to bring kids in that want to play for something bigger than themselves in a program that is represented by a head coach who means more to that program than Neal Brown means to the Mountaineers. Neal Brown this is kind of what West Virginia feels like this season. The disappointment West Virginia feels like. My dad got drafted in 1994, I believe, to play for the Toronto Blue Jays. Growing up in Hazen, Arkansas, he was the dude. Everybody embodied, they wanted to embody his style of play on both the football field and the baseball field, not so much basketball. Ended up playing college football, decides not to go to the league, to the MLB, plays college football instead at Missouri State and then at UCA, University of Central Arkansas. Like, he was a stud athlete in the state. Kind of people knew who he was. He was Philip Toll. Come on, man. I get in junior high. First day of football practice in 8th grade. Tommy Stevens is my head football coach, and Stevens reads down the roster. And he has every guy, say here when I say your name, and he gets Drake Toll. I stand up because he made me. He made me stand up. He said, Drake Toll, are you Philip Toll's son? And I said, yes, sir, I am. He takes his hat off. Real dramatic moment. He takes his hat off. I said, son, stand up. And I stood up, and I was about 6'2" in 8th grade. He said, son, your dad is one of the best athletes I ever watched play. He's one of the most intimidating, scary football players that I've seen strap him on. And I cannot wait to watch you out on that football field. I cannot wait to have the honor of coaching the son of Philip Toll. It went something like that. At least in my mind it did. It was this really dramatic movie moment. And I was like, okay, cool. Get out of the practice field. One practice in, after practice is over, comes up to me and goes, you're sure you're Philip Toll's son? It's like, yeah. He's like, huh. Okay. Come to find out, I did not have the athletic prowess that my father did. And that was very apparent to one disappointed Tommy Stevens on day one of practice. That's what West Virginia is. Oh, you're 2024 West Virginia. Oh, we've been expecting you. You're the one that's going to prove that Neal Brown's got it, that he can become Mr. Mountaineer. You're the one that's going to rally this fan base. And now you've lost to Pitt, giving up 10 points in a matter of giving up 14 points with a 10-point lead in a matter of a couple of minutes. Losing to Penn State in the way that you did. You were Drake Toll on the 8th grade football field. And nobody ever wants to be Drake Toll on the 8th grade football field. You want to avoid that at all cost. And you didn't. And now you're not very good. You've got Jaheim White and C.J. Donaldson and Garrett Green and Hudson Clement and a myriad of defenders that are fine at the very least. And you just can't get it done. And I don't know what to do with you. The schedule doesn't get any easier. Coming up, BYU, Arizona State. The Big 12's got a lot of big surprises. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel's where I go to say, hey, I want the Dallas Cowboys money line this week. And FanDuel says, yeah, you can have it. It's not very good value, but you can sure have whatever you want at FanDuel.com. And then the Dallas Cowboys get killed by the Saints. But luckily, I was also riding a couple of other things at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, and was able to win some money this past weekend on the NFL and college football because I had some money lines in college football that were very profitable, like UCF over TCU. And they have something different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5, get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account, current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com and do it today.